Hey, goaltenders. I'm here with Jason Douglas today. Jason's a junior at Champlain Valley Union High School in just outside of Burlington, Vermont. I've been skating with Jason for 2 months now, and the focus of our skates it's has been on developing his stance. Uh, we say the stance looks like a pyramid, and we call it a layered pyramid stance. Jason, what have you learned over the past 2 months that's the enemy of the goaltender?
Wide stance, kind of. You don't have any power.
Yeah, it takes away all your power. So one of the biggest things we've been working on with Jason is just narrowing his stance. He's an athletic guy. The hockey IQ is very, very high. He tracks the puck extremely well. The compete is really well. He watches hockey all the time. Uh, how much hockey, including just clips on Instagram or highlights or games, how much time do you spend a week, do you think?
Probably like an hour a day.
Hour a day. How do you feel that's helped you in your game?
It definitely just helps me recognize kind of like what the pros are doing and like kind of how to compete at the higher level.
Yeah, he's a student of the game. He's always sending me clips and just asking my thoughts, and we have some great dialogue back and forth on whether it's saves or goals against in the NHL, what a goaltender can do better. So, I'm gonna dive into the clips. This is the first ever day I worked with Jason, and what you're gonna see here as this plays, we're just working on transitioning from what we call the present bit stance. You're up nice and big. You're presenting yourself. There's no threat of a shot into the press, which right here is in his present. He goes into his press, which you'd go into your press when there's a threat of a shot coming. So as you can see here, the base of his feet is extremely wide. And like he said, it really, really limits his power. It makes you inefficient. It pulls your hands back, just makes you very stiff and exposes the lot of the net and slows you down. So I'll let this play out because this goes back to the very first day. I think this was the first ever thing we did. You can see how wide the base is. This was later on that day. You can notice, and here we're in the press stance the whole time. As you notice, his head's going first. He's pushing across. He's powerful. He's efficient. So a little bit different skating pattern. But Jason, what's the biggest difference between when you end up with a wide stance and when you end up with a narrow stance like you are in this video here?
I feel like I have a lot more power and also mobility. Both of those. Yeah, I feel like I have a lot more control.
What what specifically have you made a habit with your movement that allows you to go from A to B and maintain a narrow stance here?
Kind of on this one, we were focusing on snapping the leg at the end of the push, making sure it doesn't get too wide.
Yeah. So what we mean by snapping, watch as this pushes across. You're going to watch his right leg, his blocker side leg here, and I'll play it in slow motion. What goalies tend to do, that leg's going to get stretched out. It's natural for that to happen when you're pushing with such power and moving so fast. So what goaltenders tend to do is leave that out there, and you end up wide, like probably right about now, and get into his stance, and that would look like the previous video. But what you can see here, he snaps his right leg under him, maintains a narrow base, his feet are set, his weight is forward, and he's ready to face that shot. Another clip here. This is more building on that first one, more focus on the movement. You can see the narrow stance at the end. He's in his present, press, head goes first. He snaps the leg under him. Here's another drill, basically an entry situation where Jason scans. He would recognize that there would be an odd man situation. Someone's driving the net. So you notice he has some backward momentum here, what we call flow. He's just flowing backwards and he's pushing across, which on an entry situation maybe they're hitting that far dot driver in F3 coming into the zone. So that's why we're repping this out to practice against entry situations, especially when facing odd numbers. But you can see here pushing across. This is a big push. So I'll play it in slow motion. Again, notice his back leg. Most goaltenders let it drag. Notice he snaps it under there. He reads that release is coming. Feet are set. Weights forward. How did this feel the first time we did it? Because we did it in a warm-up skating, we did it with tracking, and then we did it in a game situation. How do you feel it was at the start, and then how did you feel it was at the end of the practice?
Um, I definitely feel like at the start, it was kind of weird, and then kind of the more you are able to rep it out, it just kind of becomes more natural. You kind of understand what you like as a goalie, and then that just makes it, for games, it makes it that much easier.
What did you find was the biggest habit that you improved on as the practice went on that made a big difference?
Definitely just making sure, especially on these long passes, making sure you snap the leg is definitely huge. So you still have, especially if it's an odd man rush, you can't just kind of commit yourself to that shooter because chances are there's going to be another pass. So you have to still be mobile after kind of making that big push.
Yeah. And as you can see, before the shot is released, he snaps that leg, the weight's forward, his hands are in front, he tracks that puck all the way in, and he's over top of it. All right, this will be the last clip we're going to show here. Tracking drill, put the tires in to help develop the habit of maintaining a narrow stance when the shot is released. Even when goaltenders have a good narrow stance and they're powerful and they're efficient and their weight is forward, when that shot is released, we have the tendency to just dig in. And so even when the shot is high, we get too wide, so we default and end up dropping and expose the top of the net. And if there are rebounds, because we're so wide, our weight's back, takes away our power, makes us very inefficient trying to get to that second puck. So we've done this a couple times now. I'll let this play out. And we did it with a flash screen coming by to take away the eyes. But as you can see, really focus on Jason's feet here. Watch as the shot is released. Even with the screen, he's barely moving at all. Again, work on tracking pucks on our feet. Another screen. His buddy here is trying to catch the pucks off his blocker. Going through with the screen, staying on his feet. But you notice his feet never change. His stance never wavers, but he's still able to shift his weight and control all the rebounds, even with his screen and the tires there. So how'd this feel doing this? And then do you feel this translated to the drills and maintaining a narrow stance when the shot was released?
Yeah, it's definitely uncomfortable at first, but the more you rep it out, the more it just kind of it feels more natural. I think the biggest part is just kind of getting comfortable with it at the beginning of the lesson, and then kind of building on it in the later drills.
Cool. All right. Well, want to thank Jason for taking the time today. The stance is the foundation to your game. If you want to become a more powerful, more efficient goaltender, you got to work on the elements of your stance because you're always in your stance before you move. So it's what precedes your movement that actually makes you a more efficient and more powerful mover. All right. Well, thanks, Jason. Thanks for the time, and I'll see you next Monday morning.
Sounds good. See ya.